morning and welcome. It's that time, yes, once again, the Patriot Radio News Hour live on this Thursday, January the 18th. Another, gorgeous day here in Phoenix, Arizona from the Hole in the Ceiling studios. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website, at allamericangold.com. Happy car auction. Those are going to – Ramon was not here yesterday. He was actually at the Barrett Jackson. He actually didn't get one car. He got two.
That's right.
Right? They were Hot Wheels cars, but he got them anyway. All he had to do was tell him his name, address, telephone number, and email address, and you got two free Hot Wheels out at the Barrett Jackson.
I actually gave them all your info, so they'll be calling you soon.
I bet you did. See, that would be something I would do, right? You go in there and just give them one of your friends' emails and phone numbers so they can get bombarded. But nonetheless, it was a good time out there, Ramon. Was there a lot of people out there?
A lot of people for a Wednesday. It was great.
The weather was just perfect, so I'm sure that all of those cars, maybe the Trump tax cuts in effect. I'll say this. So, you know what? I don't do a lot of politics because I just, there's no point to it. You get that everywhere else. But, Jeff Flake did his little thing yesterday, and thankfully nobody was listening. But, let's face it. Let's call it what it is. Yes, the president is a narcissist. He is. We all know that. And yes, he probably tweets too much. And yes, he can be mean. Yes, all of those things are true. But you can't deny it. I mean, the stock market's up 40% since he took office. I mean, he did get a tax cut through. I mean, we're going to maybe get 3% GDP growth. So, I mean, it can't be all that bad. I mean, the North Koreans and the South Koreans are actually going to join forces and field one Olympic hockey team. I don't know. I'm just saying maybe everybody just needs to get over it. And
Joe, can I ask you a question, sir?
Yeah.
With all of the bonuses that are being given out now, Cody was asking if we're going to get bonuses from you.
Well, it's so funny you bring that. It could be. I actually have a breakdown of all these bonuses.
Good.
Not quite what you'd be led to believe, but still, we'll take it. Apple had a big announcement today. I'm going to clear it all up for you. I was actually excited about it, and then I got to the office, and then I kind of found out it's a little when Apple talks about job creation and repatriating money, and it actually doesn't mean what you think. I didn't know this, but I do now, so I'm going to share that with you. We talked about Robert Kiyosaki's interview. Since Ramon was off, we didn't play it yesterday. We're going to play it for you today because it's really worth playing. And then I've got I'll tell you right now, we had a pullback, the second pullback of the year. We every day for the last few days, I thought we'd have a pullback, and by the end of the day, gold kept coming back. And like yesterday, gold closed at like 1340. During the what I'll call the electronic trading hours, gold had a nice sell-off. Gold went all the way to support, that 1323 level, which gold was, when gold broke above 1300, got to 1322, 1323, and fell back a few times. We had the one pullback, and then gold went through it. We retested that overnight. So now we got a great support level at 1323. So if you go out to our website today, you'll see Kiko has gold up. I'm going to tell you that gold's down. Gold right now, it's down about $9, 1330. The Dow was up 300-plus points yesterday. They had the big rally, the 26,000, and they actually, and I'm not kidding, they actually had the billionaire channels had a gal down on the floor where the Dow 26,000 had. I'm like, oh, I can't believe. Don't do that, right? Remind you of the Dow 10,000 app. The Dow's down 90 points today. We'll keep you updated. We had oil inventory news. Right now, oil's just below $64 to the barrel, but we had a big draw in crude oil supplies, about a 7 million barrel drop. Normally, though, I don't worry about it because gasoline and distillates were having these big increases. Didn't happen this week. Gasoline was up, but distillates was down, kind of washed each other out. So we'll watch crude oil prices. I did see gasoline prices starting to rise here in the Valley of the Sun. I don't know if we're cheap or expensive. I think Arizona's kind of like in the middle of gas prices. And here in Arizona, you pay anywhere from like $2.25 to if you're in the wrong parts of town, you'll pay $2.60, $2.65. But prices did move up about 8 cents a gallon in the last week, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Like I said, we'll break down Apple. We got Robert Kiyosaki. We're going to play his clip. And then there was an update. And remember, we've been following this, and I've been telling you, do what central bankers do. Not a record, but really close in a year where equities have been rallying. The numbers are in. The amount of central bank buying for 2017 was up and up big. We'll talk about that as well. And then, like I said, we're going to break down all of these bonuses and jobs. Was it Market Watch, or I want to give credit? CNBC. They broke down all the companies, and we'll go over that as well. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be right back right after the break. $800-951-0592. Only the second pullback of the year in gold. Really, what I call, we talked yesterday. We did the technical chart for the dollar, and we broke down really what the long-term trend is. The dollar, by the way, down again today. Actually, almost broke 90 sometime while we were all sleeping. Got to 90.11. But it's sitting at 90.5 right now, 90.5, which has kind of been where it's been here most of the week. It's been teetering between breaking 90 and getting up to about 91. We did have some profit taking in the electronic trading segment, which was, that's a good time to do it, right? Because they can maximize it and make the price fall quickly, and we saw that bounced off support with the new support now, what we call now major support at 1323. I expect we're probably going to see prices approaching 1400 before the end of the month. That's just what it looks like. We'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of factors involved in that, but that's what the trend is looking like. We did get a great opportunity. So because of that pullback overnight, we got some offers this morning. We got a great special on $20 Liberties and Saints. So this is another one. You pick them. If it was me, I like to mix them, right? If I was going to buy, if I'm buying 20 of them, I probably do 10 and 10 just because the Liberties are the older ones. The Saints, everyone thinks the Saints are prettier. The same amount of gold. 1 through 9 at $13.75, which is, you think about $45 over spot, incredible. But if you buy 10 or more, that's when it really gets good. $13.50. So it puts you at $20 over spot. If you buy 10 or more, these are $20 Liberties and St. Gaudens. You think about back when our money was backed by gold, these things were $20. Now they're $1,350. It really just tells you what it is that the central banks are all about. So 1 through 9, $13.75, which is in all historical purposes an incredible opportunity. You buy 10 or more, we'll take them down to $13.50 at We're going to play Robert Kiyosaki right now. So remember, and I talked about this yesterday. I really wanted to get it on the air today, so we'll play that right now. And then we're going to update, because it really goes hand in hand here. We're going to update how much gold central banks bought last year. Ramon, let's play Robert.
Let's take a closer look now at the yellow metal. Up around 6% since the Fed rate hike. I know you don't forecast prices, but where do you feel you fall on the spectrum as to where you see gold headed? Are you more conservative, or are you in that $10,000 gold camp?
Oh, I'll never sell my gold. It's going to be passed on for generations. So I don't ever sell gold. And I've been collecting it since, like I said, 72, when it was illegal for Americans to own gold. Just let me tell you where I'm at with money right now because of Bitcoin. I'm writing a new book. It's going to be an online book, and people can read it for free. But the last couple of chapters I'm going to solicit questions. But I've been a gold bug, like I said, since 72. And the way I see the world today with Bitcoin is that there's three kinds of money. There's God's money, which is gold and silver, again, atomic number 79 and 47. Then there's government money called fiat money, or currencies, which is the dollar, the euro, the yen,
right,
the peso. And the third type of money now is cyber money, which Bitcoin and Ethereum and those guys are the most famous. So when I'm writing this book called Fake, and it'll be online soon, it's really about what's real. Is money fake or is it real? And I think, so the choice, when I talk to people, I said, what do you think will be here in 2040, approximately 22 years from now? Will gold still be here? Well, it's been here since eternity. Will the dollar be here?
Right.
I don't think so. And will blockchain be here? I think so. So that's really the way I look at the world of money and currencies,
right,
is what's going to be here in 22 years.
So, Robert, are you one of the rare few that actually likes Bitcoin and gold at the same time?
Yeah, I own Bitcoin, but I own 5. It was expensive because I was late. But I have Bitcoin in a little cage like a pet, like 5 little rabbits. And I'm just watching my little Bitcoins. And I own Ethereum. But I also have dollars, and I also have gold and silver. I'm just kind of watching the whole thing because I'm not one of these guys who likes to discuss it. I just would rather just observe it.
Let's talk about crashes, debt, and taxes, which, last time you told me this is how the rich are getting richer. So do you think 2018 is set up to deliver here?
A crash?
Yeah.
I hope so.
I know you love crashes. So do you think it's imminent?
Well, I think it's imminent within the next 2 or 3 years. Yes, that something has to happen. Simply because, as you probably know, when it comes to government money, which is the dollar, the yen, the euro, is that there's 2 kinds of bubbles. The first kind of bubble is called an equity bubble. And an equity bubble was a dot-com crash. That's where people put real money into the markets. And then there's a debt bubble. So since 2008, actually 2004, we've been in a debt bubble. And the trouble with debt bubbles is when they come down like an avalanche. So I don't think it's too long. I mean, I'm not trying to be an alarmist because, as you said, I like crashes because everything goes on sale. That's like going to a Walmart, and Walmart has a 50% off sale. So when everything goes on sale, I'm back in the market. That's all it is to me.
And you have enough gold to hedge, so you're well positioned.
I got more gold than I could ever spend in my lifetime.
Robert, I appreciate your thoughts, and we look forward to your new book, Fake Money, Fake Teachers, Fake Assets. When can we expect it to come out?
Probably in February, but we're talking just now about why the rich are getting richer. That book is about debt and taxes. And, Trump just passed this Reform Act, but it only makes the rich richer. The tax breaks went to guys like me who are permanent. Those tax breaks are permanent. But the working class, they're temporary. Well, so the whole thing about why the rich are getting richer is I use debt, especially with interest rates at 2%, and I don't pay taxes. So why the rich are getting richer is that book, and then Fake is about the juxtaposition between government money, fake money, real money, God's money, gold and silver, government money, the dollar, and then cyber money. And I think those are the positions everybody should be looking at today. Which way is it going to go and what's going to be here in 2040? That's the question.
Robert Kiyosaki, we look forward to it. Thank you so much for joining us today.
So very, very interesting. And we won't delve into, he's a very wealthy individual, obviously, does all the rich dad stuff. But what I want to focus in on what he was talking about, which is, I own 5 Bitcoin, and he's, hey, I love crashes, right? He makes his money, like a lot of the uber wealthy people, they make their money during the crashes, and when it's going to be is a little harder, but he's like, hey, listen, the next year or two it's going to happen, and he talked about the debt bubble that is percolating, and then you see it, like Wall Street. I saw this graphic up 42% since Donald took office, and it's just incredible. I mean, there's a lot of good things that have happened, but that's kind of, it's almost outrageous when you think about it. But then he talked about, notice how what he said was going to survive, and I misquoted it yesterday. I want to get it right today. Government money isn't going to survive, at least not in the form that it is today. But notice how what he said would, right? Gold's going to be there. But he didn't say Bitcoin or Ethereum. He what he said was blockchain, right? And of course, that is the technology behind those products, right? And the blockchain is what keeps me up at night. But I found it, interesting because he didn't say, hey, it was going to be Bitcoin or it was going to be this or that. He just said it was going to be the technology that is going to be there, and of course, having yourself protected against. And notice they started, with the $10,000 gold call. You didn't hear him deny it, which is kind of letting you know where he thinks the price is going to go. And obviously, I'm jealous. I don't own nearly the amount of gold that I would love to own, and that he could ever spend in his lifetime must be nice. But that's a whole different argument in itself. But I wanted to play that for you. I think it's important. Here's a guy that has a long track record of understanding and being able to filter out what I call the short-term noise. Then I always say, and I've said this for years, you need to be your own central bank, right? You've got to look at these things kind of the way Robert was talking about of, hey, what's really happening, right? What's really going to come out of all of these bubbles? Because, we can all agree this is what we have, right? We have a debt, but we know that. Right, and all the central banks, they printed trillions of dollars, trillions. And now, as we're watching all of this play out, something very interesting has happened that, at least in my lifetime, okay, I was only born in 1970. We've never seen it before. So if you use my premise, and when you heard him talk about, hey, I started buying gold in 1972. Right, because you couldn't buy gold before then. So from 1933 to 1971, it was illegal to buy gold outside of, you could buy like a necklace, right? You could get a gold filling, or if you were a super rich guy, I guess you could have bought a artistic piece that had gold in it. But you couldn't buy a $20 Liberty or a $20 Saint that we're running today. Couldn't do it. Couldn't own it. Of course, in 1972, you started to be able to own it, but this is the first time since then that central banks have decided to stop, not necessarily stop, that's the wrong word. They own dollars, right? And Robert, listen, we all own dollars, right? Everybody that lives in America, except maybe a homeless guy, owns dollars. Right, because you have to. You got to pay the mortgage, you got to pay the rent, you got to pay this, you got to pay that. Central banks were the biggest buyers of gold in 2017. They bought, and this blew my mind, 415 tons of gold. Now, this article says trillion tons. I think that's a misprint. 414.9 metric tons of gold. In 2016, they bought 95 tons. And this is, by the way, this data is from the World Gold Council. Okay, this is what they do. They're the ones that count this stuff. The increase in gold demand, just in perspective, in November and October of 2017 alone, central banks bought 118 metric tons in November and October. And, of course, remember, I was telling you, I was begging you, this is the time you want to load up, and the central bankers were just doing that. The increased buying has been accomplished in a fashion where central banks, in a matter aimed at the potential short-term impact of the gold price as a reason to start adding significantly more to their portfolio. It says market supply and demand found in diversifying buying patterns and not making headlines. And again, they're not advertising this. Right? They're not going. Think about what England did, right, when they sold all their gold and made the big announcement. No one's telling you that they're doing this today. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily broadcast from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. And we're upholding the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly, grassroots activist, author of 27 books, and articulate voice for traditional values for more than 70 years. Now, from the Phyllis Schlafly Center Studios, here's Ryan Haidt.
By a margin of 19-4, state legislatures properly rejected last year a misguided push by a few secret billionaires to call for a new constitutional convention, or CONCON for short. A CONCON cannot be limited and could result in rewriting our Constitution, which has been the foundation of our liberty and prosperity for more than 200 years. Article 5 of the Constitution authorizes Congress, if there is two-thirds support in both the House and Senate, to pass a proposed new constitutional amendment and send it to the states for ratification. The proposal then becomes part of our Constitution if at least 3/4 of all the states ratify it, which today is 38 states. Article 5 also contains a second way to amend our Constitution, which has never been used because it's too dangerous. This second method is for 2/3 of all the states, or 34, to pass a resolution asking Congress to call a constitutional convention. Once convened, there is no way to limit the mischief that such a convention could get into. While 3/4 of the states would still be needed to ratify proposals before they become law, history teaches that the pressure becomes too great for state legislators to withstand. They ratified the 17th Amendment quickly with little dissent, despite how that took power away from them to pick senators. But billionaires who want to be important in politics think their wealth entitles them to rewrite our Constitution. These globalists would be just fine with a more European style of government, one in which global trade agreements and treaties can be rushed through Congress. Misnamed a convention of states, this scheme for a new convention is the same concept that has been rejected for decades by Phyllis Schlafly and others. Justice Scalia called the proposal to hold a new convention a horrible idea. Fortunately, state legislators on both sides of the aisle recognized last year how bad it would be to open the door to rewriting our founding document. Our Constitution is not the problem, and changing it is not the solution.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Anyone pushing for a constitutional convention doesn't have a full appreciation for the brilliance and beauty of the original document ratified back in 1788. At phyllisschlafly.com, you'll find all kinds of reasons why a CONCON could be a disaster for the American way of life. Check out phyllisschlafly.com and join us again next time for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
Welcome back, 800-951-0592. God's money continuing to recover. Now down 7. I don't know, but Kidco will probably have it up 4, I think, something like that. 13.32 right now. Silver, right now, I got it down 12. I know that it'll be showing up at silver at 17.08. U.S. $20 Liberties and Saints. There was a pullback overnight. A lot of that pull. So already half of the pullback's been taken back, and the way gold's been running here, it may be gone before the end of the day. But I got U.S. $20 Liberties and $20 Saints. And you think about, 1866 to 1933 is when they confiscated gold. You think about that whole time period, right? There really wasn't any inflation. A little bit over, World War I, but that was about it. There wasn't any. Never happened. No one talked about it. You didn't have to talk about it, right? You didn't have to talk about interest rates, and you didn't have to talk about the dollar and valuation and depreciation and devaluation and inflation and I forget what's the new word, price targeting or whatever they make up. 1375, 1 through 9. 10 or more now. We're at $18 and falling here over spot. 10 or more, $13.50, and you can mix and match them. If you want to buy 10, say, hey, give me 5 Saints, give me 5 Libs, whatever you want to do, or you can buy all Saints, or you can buy all the Libs. The Libs are the older ones. The Saints are the newer ones. I mean, they're almost all now 85 plus years or older than that. 800-951-0592, U.S. $20 gold pieces, Liberties and Saints, 1375, 1 through 9, 10 or more, 1350. A big announcement out of Apple today. And Apple was, they made all of these great comments about we're gonna contribute $350 billion to the U.S. economy and create 20,000 jobs and do all this stuff. And I was like, wow. Maybe I'm wrong. Listen, I'll admit it if I'm wrong. I didn't believe, the only thing I think Apple does is buy back their own stock. And it was so funny. So when I got into work today, there was an article, and it was on Market Watch, and they talked about Apple didn't say it was hiring 20,000 new workers. Nor is it bringing back all of that overseas cash. But yet, that's what they said on the TV. So here's how it works, at least for Apple. I can't say for everybody, but Apple, in its release, said that the company planned to, and I'm going to use and this is in quotations, create over 20,000 new jobs through hiring at existing and opening a new one. Okay, so they've got I don't know how many campuses they have. They got the main one there in California, and then they said they're going to build another one somewhere. The key word apparently in that statement was the word create. Right now, I'm just looking at it. I feel like I've got at least average intelligence, right? And if you had read that to me, my assumption would be, wow, Apple's hiring 20,000 people. Apparently, that's not what it means when Apple says that. What Apple really likes to use when discussing jobs, apparently, I don't know, I'm not an Apple. My kids are Apple kids. I'm one of those, I'm a Droid, and you guys know me. I used my flip phone up until a few years ago when it finally stopped working. It wouldn't turn on anymore. And I now have, I guess, I have a smartphone, but I'm not an Apple guy. But on their website, they have a portion of it dedicated to what they call job creation. And I got to give Apple huge props here, right? They know how the world is now, right? It's all about headlines. It's all about spin. It's all about creating that thing. Because, like I've been very critical of Apple. Apple could employ hundreds of thousands of people here in America. They say they got 84,000 employees, but they could have 500,000 here, but they don't. But what Apple means by job creation doesn't mean they're the ones that are hiring. What they like to do is claim that they're responsible for jobs being created, not necessarily the ones doing the creation. So on their website today, Apple says that they're responsible for 2 million jobs in the United States. And maybe that's true. I don't know. And most of the jobs are in the attributed to the App Store ecosystem. And so the 20,000 new jobs that they're talking about over the next 5 years apparently are in this in that realm. In other words, Apple's not really doing the hiring, but because it's Apple, there's going to be 20,000 more jobs created. By the way, the bringing back of money. So that's number one. The bringing back of the money. Apple said that it's going to pay $38 billion in repatriation taxes as a promise that Apple would bring back home more than $250 billion, right? Because when you do, I think the tax is like 15% or 15.5%, and people can do math and they're like, oh, hey, that's $250 billion, and I'm like, dude, that's a lot of money. That's great. Now, I don't know, and I'm of course always thinking, well, they're probably just going to buy stock back with it, but apparently at Apple, that's not what it means. Apple always repatriates money, or let me rephrase, pays repatriation taxes, but actually doesn't necessarily bring the money home. They already do that. Much of the money that Apple has overseas isn't sitting in cash, but is tied up in long-term investments. So paying the repatriation tax is very unlikely. That means Apple's going to be bringing the $250 billion home. I just wanted to pass this along, just hit the breaking news. The Senate is doubtful now that they are going to pass a bill to avoid a government shutdown, which is supposed to, I guess, tomorrow. The shutdown would be a little bit different than what we've had before, which is, hey, we'll keep operating. We won't count the debt, right? We will pretend that we're not adding it, but anything we are spending, we'll keep spending at the same levels. If the government did shut down, and for those of you, and I know I'm kind of jumping here, but since the headline broke, the government's been operating by these short-term agreements on the debt ceiling. The latest the last agreement went from, I think, December 22nd till tomorrow. Right now, a shutdown would mean if like a bunch of any non-essential federal agencies would close and things of that nature. Again, idiotic. Right? I just have so much disdain for these elected politicians and what they do. It's ridiculous. People have lives to live. Get your heads out of your you-know-whats and get something done. And they play all these games and all this brinkmanship, and it just gets old, doesn't it? But nonetheless, we'll see. So tomorrow maybe there's a shutdown. Hopefully not. They talk about the immigration thing and this and this is when, I guess the reason for it is everybody wants more money, right? Well, we want this and hand up for this and hand up for that. And at this point, why not? I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, we're running trillions of dollars of debt anyway. But nonetheless, I just want to give some color on Apple. It didn't quite mean what I thought it meant. And one of the things that, again, I'm going to give the president credit again today. He's been out every time he talks about, you would think that there's 159 million people working in America. You would think the way the president's talking that 70, 80, 90 million people are getting these bonuses or a pay raise. I did a little digging, 2 million right now. At least right now. It's not done, but 2 million, which is, 1.5% of the people. But CNBC today actually broke down. They actually sent out a survey to all the big companies because they wanted to put a number together. Despite a handful of high-profile announcements, the recent cuts in corporate taxes haven't yet had a meaningful impact on American companies' plans to boost investment or raise worker pay, according to a survey of large companies by CNBC. The announcement came late Wednesday with news that Apple planned to repatriate billions of dollars. Again, I just told you about that. That's not quite what it meant, but let's hope they do, but not quite what it meant. The company said it'll make a $350 billion contribution to the U.S. economy. And remember how Apple likes to count, right? Well, it's not just us, but all the other things. Because of us, there's all these other places that make money, and we take credit for it all. We did that already. But here's where I'm going to give the president credit. He's trying to get companies to do the right thing, isn't he? Right? He's going out on TV, and he's trying to get them to do it. Unfortunately, at least as of yet, hasn't happened. Pay increases have been few and far between, with few exceptions. Some companies have announced specific plans, most of them offering a one-time bonus instead of an actual wage increase. Of the 100 biggest companies, and they did biggest by market cap because it's kind of hard, is it by employees, by sales? No, they did it by market cap. So the 100 biggest companies, over half of them didn't respond. And of course, if they were going to do something, right, they would say it because they want to be out on TV as, making America great and having the president, say good things. It doesn't mean that they won't. Just means they didn't respond. CNBC, by the way, they made multiple requests. So they gave these companies several opportunities to respond. 21, so over half didn't respond at all. Another 21 of them said no comment. We got no comment. So I'm guessing, yeah, we're if we've got a plan, it's not the one that we want people to know about. In other words, we're not going to be paying people. We're going to, do what I think, which is buying back our old stock. Or maybe they're just the ones that, hey, you know what? Business hasn't been that great, and we're going to take the savings to shore up our bottom line. Only 10% of the company, it is 10%, 10 of them. Only 10 companies contacted by CNBC, and they took the 100 biggest companies, said they actually had a specific plan to use some of the money saved from the corporate tax cuts to boost worker pay or invest in facilities or charitable causes. So I guess some of them, instead of boosting pay or buying back their own stock, are giving some money to charity. Of the 10, I'll give you the 10. Apple, right? We just heard theirs. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, AT&T, Comcast, Boeing, U.S. Bancorp, Visa, and Walmart. Those were the 10. Patriot Radio News Hour. Final segment coming up. So I was just doing some math. They actually broke down the 10 companies. I only get 560,000 workers. AT&T, 200,000 get $1,000. Of course, remember, AT&T also announced they were firing people. Walmart, they didn't give a number. So they did raise the minimum wage, and you are going to get a bonus between $200 and $1,000, just depending on years of service. So I'm not sure. That one, I don't know how many that is. So if Walmart employs, about 1 million people, then maybe you get to the 2 million. Comcast, 100,000 workers get $1,000 one time. Boeing didn't actually say anything about raise. Apparently, they're going to just spend an extra $300 million. That's it. I mean, $300 million, that's like a couple of planes in the law, but they were one of the 10. Wells Fargo, boy, did you see that again? Did you see them again? Another issue at Wells Fargo, double charging people. They're going to raise the minimum wage to $15 and $400 million to philanthropic charity, because I can't say the word today.
A donation has been made in your name to the Human Fund. What is that?
Exactly, right? It's like going to Barrett Jackson and signing your friend up for an email and getting a couple of free Hot Wheel cars. Bank of America said 145,000 workers would get a one-time $1,000. PNC Financial, 47,500 workers will get a one-time $1,000. U.S. Bancorp raised the minimum wage for 60,000. Well, I don't know if that means that do they have 60,000 employees making less than $15? Probably not. But anyway, also going to make a donation to the U.S. Bank Foundation. Yeah, $150 million. And made enhancements to the healthcare offerings in 2019. I don't know what that means. And then Visa, which was the other one, they raised the level of matching contributions to its employees' 401k to 10%. So I guess somehow in this way, with all of that, they get to the $2 million. But I don't know why that would matter, because I think you're only allowed to defer 6% for tax purposes. So I'm not sure how much that really helps anybody. But anyway, that was the breakdown so far. But let's hope, you know what, keep the pressure on these guys, right? Do the right thing. Do the right thing. I know it's hard to get corporate America to do the right thing. The Dow is back below 26,000 right now, down 120 points. Right near it, though, 25,990 on the Dow. The S&P, the NASDAQ are all lower. Gold and silver, I'm going to say they're lower. So they're lower from the close in New York. Gold's at $13.31. Silver is at $17.04. U.S. $20 gold. You know what? Just think about this. Right before Christmas, I was begging you to buy them at $13.10. Right? Gold's already $13.30. You're going to look back here in another 3 to 4 weeks. Very possible. And I think right now, very likely, in my opinion, you're going to see gold north of $13.50. $13.75 is very likely as well. So you think about buying $20 gold pieces 1 through 9 at $13.75, 10 or more at $13.50. By the way, remember we sold Crude Gold Eagles at $13.50. What an incredible opportunity so far. 800-951-0592. That is the toll-free number. Take the time, put some away, and just sit back and, like Robert Kiyosaki, start collecting.